because we know best what our community needs, and we need those federal agencies to work with us, not against us. And so that's, again, part of my job now, after hearing, what you've told me today, is to go back and figure out with my team how best to engage everybody. And I appreciate very much, your point. I believe that working together, people coming in around in a room like this, talking about what the goal is, and hearing everybody's perspective, you can at least get to a level of understanding. Even if there are certain groups that don't agree, they can at least listen and try to understand, why is this important to you? And what is it that you're trying to achieve, rather than be misinformed, or worse yet, misled, and believe that you're trying to do something that you may not be trying to do. So, I hear a sense of reinvigoration among your group and this community, and my commitment to you as your representative is to work with you. If this is something that you all say as a local community is important to you, then it's my job to go and figure out how to make that possible.
Arriba, arriba. These people here, ¿tú tienes preguntas? Eh? These people came over all from the west side. I don't know them, but I want to make sure that they have a voice, because I don't want to control a possible.
This is a discussion on any issue. So yeah, if there's anything else that people would like to ask me about, or other areas that people.
Todos los empleados de él hablan español. All of us employees.
Congressman Horsford, I would certainly like to extend our appreciation for you sponsoring the bill to create the Tule Springs National Monument. That is extremely important for diversification of ecotourism in our state and in our city, and it's extremely important for new jobs to come in, and that was your priority when you first talked about. When you imagine that the Valley of Fire State Park, 60% of its visitors are from out of the country, not out of the state, but out of the country. And 40% of the people that visit up in the Bryce Canyon area and Zion fly into Las Vegas and then go up to Bryce Canyon and Zion. And within a 200-mile radius, we have 13 state parks, Grand Canyon and Death Valley. And the article that was in the National Geographic Adventure magazine, September of 2007, put Las Vegas as the #1 adventure city in the United States. It wasn't anything in Miami or Alaska or Hawaii, anything. We were the #1 adventure city, and because of that, it's because of that 200-mile radius we had all of that. And I have that copy. I think I gave that to Edie Fernandez as part of the support. But that is tremendously important, because you've got National Geographic, which exports all over the world, and if you have a national monument here, which is connected to Gypsum Cave, because in Gypsum Cave there's an Ice Age horse, an Ice Age camel, and an Ice Age sloth in there. So it connects up with your sponsorship for the National Monument. So that's why this is so important to us.
I thought the important thing was, we had an event out there. There was an explorer here, his name was Harrington, and he started exploring the whole back of this mountain. And he was appointed by the governor at that time. It was in the 1900s.
1930. 1930. Yeah.
But that's the past. I want the future. We have a leader. We have new life. Like he said, I'm 81, he's 83,
Don't start telling everybody's age.
We need somebody to move on before we go, And now we have a new leader. I have one wonderful principal. We have everybody here. Before we go, we need to see done. And this is your chance.
Well, the thing is, with the article that she's mentioning, they went from here into other states. we need to supply them with the wonderful things that we have here, so that that money can stay right here in Clark County. So with the Tule Springs area, with Nellis Sand Dune area, and with Gold Butte, then we'll be directing them and sending them to those people, and our economy will diversify.
So this, what is that right here? What is this described
That
as?
is a gravel pit. Is that
It
what
used
you,
to be a
yeah,
gravel pit.
yeah.
So what is that being proposed?
I don't know.
Okay.
No one's ever figured out how to handle a hole.
No, that's a good one.
Do you know about the Nellis Sand Dunes, Bill?
Well, that's part of the Tule Springs. It's included.
It's
in all of
included in that, yeah, because that's just an important and environmental issue as saving places.
I did want to mention one other thing about the education issue. When my husband and I came here in '62
Thank you.
with the nuclear rocket program to take man to Mars with Los Alamos, that's why we came to Las Vegas. 1969, Clark High School was in the top 10 in the nation in math and science. Not the 10%, top 10 in the nation in math and science. So this is a huge educational when Steve Rowland and I and everybody goes around to the schools with our dog and pony show about the mammoth teeth, about the mammoths and everything else. It's amazing how alert these kids are and how much they absorb. So it's a good educational thing. The last thing National Parks, they stated, we want an urban monument. We don't want where you have to go out 100 miles. We want it urban. We fit that so well here. And for our education, we have got a rare opportunity to jump on the bandwagon, and we appreciate your efforts in helping.
And you
us
hit
do
on a number of key points. First is the tourism component to conservation, which the President and others have promoted, the Secretary of the Interior. This is about, using our national parks, using our monuments in a way that, America can enjoy again, and to make them aware that these treasures exist. And so it's a big part of the promotion of our parks and our monuments and our conservation areas from a tourism aspect. So we are the tourist capital of the world, and the entertainment capital of the world, and so these treasures help to augment that. We have 40 million people who come to Las Vegas every year. Many of them, as you say, come and want to go to Red Rock. They want to, go to Tule Springs, and hopefully with this new addition, they can come here as well. So that tourism creates jobs, it builds the economy, it helps us to diversify, meaning it's not just entertainment tourism, but tourism from a conservation aspect. And the Secretary of the Interior, Secretary Salazar, and the new Secretary, have promoted that as well as the President. The second point is, you say, education. I'm a graduate of Clark, so I was there yesterday talking to a group of students, and we want all of our students in schools to be at that top category, and for Nevada to not be at the bottom in education, but to be at the top, and to utilize some of these only in Las Vegas treasures. The archaeological discovery at Tule Springs, that's a huge research opportunity with our university, working with our schools, helping to educate the next generation about their past and the history and the archaeological and geological discoveries that are here. So that is an education asset, or an asset for education, that also has to be part of why these protections need to take place. So I completely agree, and when we could talk about these things from how they create jobs, how they grow the economy, how they're good for the community, and how they provide a good quality of education for our kids, then you're building the case for why it's a good investment to protect. And I know you know that, but I think the more that we can, talk in those terms and make those arguments, I think the better we can do to convince others that this is a good idea.
Mr. Hurd,
Like Steve
just
Rowland.
I wanted to point this out. There's only 2 great unconformities in the United States. One is located a few blocks from here. The other is the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It's a very unique formation.
I also would like to interject Dr. Steve
Yeah,
Rowland
Steve
to
could give you a
expand
much-
upon the paleontology, the discovery of the mammoths and the American lions and everything, and how this is a world-class area.
You're talking about Tule Springs, I
Yes,
think?
yes, yes.
Well, certainly true, that we've got fantastic Ice Age mammals that have been discovered, and we're still discovering. We discovered dire wolves and saber-toothed cats over the last few months that had never been discovered before. So it's a tremendous resource for all the reasons you just related, Congressman. Education, research, and ecotourism. So I think there's no question it's a fantastic resource on all fronts.
And what will it do to help build those programs at UNLV? Where can this go from that side of it, as far as how many, how can you develop other programs of study and, higher levels of training and education?
Yeah, I think just if that becomes a Tule Springs Fossil Bed National Monument, that will raise the level of paleontological research, which is what I do at UNLV. It'll excite more students. It'll be easier for me and my colleagues and students to get grant money to do research, and so it just raises the rising tide raises all boats. So it will have certainly a very beneficial effect on research activity in geology and paleontology at UNLV.
And it offers, since we now have a museum here who can curate, all of our specimens have been going up north or to California. They've been going everywhere. And so what we're finding here is not here for our students to see. And so we now have a museum, the Nevada State Museum here that can curate, and hopefully our students will be able to actually see the things that they're finding out there. And so all of that, what a wonderful future for our valley to have that ability to do that. And all of us have longed to bring all these things back home.
Absolutely.
I think one of the major things also that would do for Las Vegas, to this community, is just the fact of giving us something else to be proud of rather than the city of sin. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You'll give us a different identity besides just going to the casinos and blowing all our money. We can go out and camp or hike with the family. We can go to Lake Mead, and other stuff like that. A lot of people that live here, because I grew up, right down the street. So,
where'd you graduate?
I graduated from Sierra Vista. I moved from this side of town, but I went to El Dorado, I went to Del H, so a lot of the people that I grew up with, we were only confined to the neighborhoods, Red Rock was too far, the only...
Yeah, I went to Clark, and I didn't come to the east side until, later in life, and then I met my wife, and now whenever I'm home, I make sure to come see my in-laws. I'm over here a lot. And my son went to Sandy Miller Elementary, which, was right down the street as well. So.
One of the things that we have neglected to mention is that our group, Friends of Sloan, we work with inner cities children from Orr and Cashman through the After School All-Stars program, and we provide them camping opportunities in Gold Butte and other places and field trips. Because
you guys are hitting all my spots. I went to Orr and Cashman.
Those kids, that's
we
what I was
moved a
saying.
lot. I went to a lot of schools. So.
They're only confined to those neighborhoods. They don't really have access to, because a lot of them are single-family homes where parents are working crazy shifts. So it's really just their neighborhood, their friends next door or whatever. They don't really have the accessibility to go out to these mountains and just see what more Nevada has to offer than just Las Vegas. There's so much more out here in this state, in this city, than just casinos.
Conservationists must accept the responsibility for introducing our special places to the hearts, mind, and feet of children. That is our motto for these children's outings. And hopefully, as you work in our national government, that kind of thing can resound there too, because we have to be the makers of the next generation of environmentalists. because our kids don't have that chance to do that here.
One other piece of information that we haven't touched upon is the state. The state has taken up in the past few sessions, they've set aside 315 acres as a research park, visitor centers right across from Shadow Ridge High School on Decatur there. And it's within the 1,000 acres of the National Registered Site of the Tule Springs Dig. And it is an opportunity there where the state and the university are working together to build a research center there so we can have scientists come here and diagnose our
You
bones.
said on
and so forth.
Decatur?
What?
On Decatur?
Decatur, right across from Shadow
Near
Ridge
the
High
shooting
School.
range?
Beg your pardon?
Yeah,
315
just south of the
acres.
shooting range.
It's southeast of it.
State property.
Is that just been put in?
And this is something that is full of paleontology and archaeology. This is a research center which we hope will be in partnership with the Park Service as the gateway to the National Monument. The infrastructure is already there to build. You've got the plumbing, the electricity and everything on a section line street. You're right across from the high school. The Clark County shooting range is right up there. Everything on the east side of Decatur is North Las Vegas. Everything on the west side of Decatur is Las Vegas, city of Las Vegas. You've got an infrastructure from 215 going north to the shooting park with Costco and Starbucks and all the restaurants and everything. So the last few minutes of the Ken Burns film on national parks was of Yellowstone, with all these cars lined up. And they said, we don't have the infrastructure to support all these people. We do. And this is an opportunity just waiting to be had.
You're so kind and patient.
Yes, you are.
We so appreciate it. We do.
Well, no, I appreciate you guys are very passionate and
Yeah.
informative, and so we really appreciate you being available and taking the time, and we will take your suggestions and input back and figure out the best way to engage some of these agencies and others so that we can figure out how to move forward. So again, I really appreciate all of you taking time out of your schedule to be here, and want you to know again that we're here to serve you and be accessible to you. So yes.
I have a question. So as a current college student now, I'm looking into going to grad school either here or out of state. Do you have any updates on possible hikes on student loans and the interest rate and stuff like that?
Yes. Thank you for your question. So on the college student loan issue, we just had a roundtable the other day at CSN with a group of students to hear from them on how the proposal before Congress might affect their student loans for those of them who've taken them out. Right now, President Obama and the Congress last year lowered the rate to 3.4% and capped it and capped it at that until June 30th of 2013. That's set to expire, and it could double to 6.8% unless an alternative is agreed to by Congress. The House Republicans introduced a bill last week, which I voted against, which would have created a variable interest rate loan on student loans, which are the same as an adjustable rate mortgage on a house, right? So, if you're starting college and you have to take out a loan in the fall, you might start with a low interest rate of 4%, and then by the time it's your senior year, that rate may have adjusted 6, 7, 8% or more. And you won't even know it until it was time for you to graduate and then start paying it back. So I offered, along with my colleagues, an amendment to that bill, which was not approved, which would have had a truth in lending provision to be able to tell you as a college student, how much that loan would cost you once you graduated and had to start paying it back. And unfortunately, they would not even allow that amendment to be brought forward for a vote. And so I voted against the bill because I didn't feel that they were being fair to the college students that I represent. If you're going to take out a loan, and if it's a variable interest rate loan, then you should at least know what the potential cost to you would be if you're going to be responsible and required to pay that back. The Senate is working on alternative college loan legislation that I support that may extend that low rate for another couple of years, which I support, or at a minimum, cap it so that it cannot go up more than, say, 5%. So even if it goes up, it won't go up more than like 5%. That number hasn't been decided, but there's legislation in the Senate that compares to legislation in the House that I did support, but again, unfortunately, we're in the minority, and so they didn't allow some of those to come up for a vote. So my hope is the Senate will approve something before the end of June that we can get passed out of the House and sent to the President on July 1st. And then he can sign it, and we will know how students and their families can continue to afford college going forward. This is something that's very important to, our community in particular, because, we're encouraging young people, go to school, invest in your education, believe that education will then help you be better prepared for the careers of the 21st century, but then we want to expect you to go into debt. And for a lot of students, that's just not, a reality. Many students have to work. They're already taking on more debt to just get by as it is. And I'm very concerned that if we don't keep college affordable, there are some students who may not pursue education at all. Right now, college student loan debt is over $1 trillion. It is more debt in college student loans than there is in credit card debt in America. So when those on the other side talk about, not wanting to, have the next generation inherit this burden, that's actually what their own bill proposed to do, was for you to take on more of a burden in college debt in order to get a quality education and a college degree. I believe that we need to make college more affordable. I actually believe we need to be looking at loan forgiveness programs for service in underserved areas and in careers that are in high demand that we can't fill, and that would be a smarter way to keep college affordable rather than continuing to tinker with and increase the interest rates on student loans.
Mr. Congressman.